Everybody, I'm here today with a driving lesson on sharing the road with buses. In this video, I'll be going over some basic things to keep in mind with regards to sharing the road with buses. You see, when you're driving, you are on the road with other vehicles and other pedestrians and other things. We are all road users together, so we have to learn to share the road with each other. Let's get right into it. Some of the buses that you might encounter are school buses, public transportation buses, special specific buses for single specific needs, and other things. Now, with that being said, here are the things to keep in mind, okay? The first thing to keep in mind is give them space. The majority of buses are actually bigger than most vehicles. If you look behind me right there, that's actually a public transportation bus right there for where I live, for Toronto. That's a public transportation right about there. Just basically two vehicles behind me. Now, they're bigger than average in terms of them being a little bit wider. They're not much wider than the average car. However, they are much taller most of the time. So if you look, they're much taller. Most of the time, their mirrors will stick out further than average. So they're bigger in a few different dimensions than the average vehicle. So give them space. They're bigger than average. They need more space than the average vehicle, okay? The second thing to keep in mind is to understand that they're probably working, okay? Now, I would say like 99.9% of the time, if you see a bus on the road, the person is working. The driver is working, or someone in the bus, a passenger of the bus is working, they're working. So understand that, when you see a public transportation bus, they're probably working because, the person is driving people around town. When you see a school bus, they're probably working, probably driving students around town. When you see another type of bus, probably working, probably driving people around town. Maybe it's a bus. There are some bus companies that literally go just like a shuttle bus, right? They're driving people from point A to point B. They're probably working, okay? That's the second thing to keep in mind. So just understand, when you're driving around for fun, they're working. So keep that in mind and take that for what it's worth. You can, interpret that however you want to, but they're working, so have a little bit of leeway for them. Okay, the next thing to keep in mind, the third thing, is that they're carrying passengers. Now, almost all of the time, if there's a bus on the road, it's going to have at least a handful of passengers on it, meaning that bus is responsible for not just one life, the life of the driver, but for probably 10, 20, or even 30 lives, or even more, 40, 50 lives, depending on the bus and how big it is. So keep that in mind. Give them some space. Don't cut them off. Allow them to enter. If they have their signal on, just let them in front of you, right? They're responsible for so many lives that it's just not worth it. Like, whether they do something that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter, because they have so many lives, so just let them go. It's as simple as that. Another thing to keep in mind is to work with their speed. Buses, most of the time, will not drive as fast as the other vehicles on the road, including yourself. Most of the time, even if they do drive the speed limit, it's going to take them a while to get up to that speed limit. They're going to be accelerating slowly to get to that speed limit. So work with their speed. If you're behind a bus, then just, understand that you're going to be driving a bit slower, or just switch lanes and go around the bus. It's as simple as that. Sometimes I drive behind buses and I know that I'm going to be driving slower, just, to make it easier on myself if I'm relaxed. Other times, if I'm behind a bus and it's going slower and I need to get somewhere, I'll just go around the bus so I can drive the regular speed limit. It's as simple as that. Last but not least, the last thing that I want you to keep in mind is the fact that the majority of buses are going to have frequent stops. Especially public transportation buses, they're probably going to stop frequently at all of the bus stops on the street. You'll probably see in the background, the bus is still there, but it's been constantly stopping at these stops. There's a lot of traffic, so that's why it's staying close to me, but the bus is constantly stopping. And also, there's a bus in front of me right now too. Literally, I'm sandwiched between buses. But I keep my distance, and that's another thing. You got to give them their space, right? So you understand that they're going to make frequent stops. If you don't want to stop frequently, don't be behind a bus. I don't mind stopping frequently. I'm really early for work right now. Like, I'm really ahead of schedule for work right now, and I have lots of time, and I'm making this video, so I'm like, what rush am I in, right? So that's why I don't mind the frequent stops right now. But if you're behind a bus, understand that it's going to probably make frequent stops. And that's it. In this video, I've gone over driving lesson 4, sharing the road with buses. The bus is stopped right in front of me right now, just so you know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.